Greetings, everyone. I'm Mar. Once again, this is my opinion. Now we come to episode 14 of this second season. This is an episode that is usually one of the ones I skip. I do watch it every now and then, usually like if I marathon the entire show, but if I'm just watching the show in sequence and just watching episodes I really like, I always find myself skipping this one. And before this rewatch, I think I've watched it like three, four times, and it's been about a decade since I last watched it. But watching it again, I found myself enjoying it a lot more than the last time I watched it. And I think part of the reason is I'm watching it with an older mindset. I've had several relatives who passed away since then, specifically the grandmother that introduced me to this show. And watching this, it has a slight nostalgic value for me. I mean, I probably might still end up skipping it in subsequent rewatches, but that's going to depend on those future rewatches. This, of course, is, and forgive me if I'm butchering my Italian pronunciation, Mia Famigila, which translates to my family. Of course, in Spanish, it'd be mi familia. Plot of the episode centers around Ray and Allie reaching out to a relative back in Italy. It all stems from a project that Allie is given where she has to interview the oldest relatives from both sides of her family. She did Deborah's side of the family off screen, so they're trying to figure out who's the oldest on the Barone side. They talk to Frank, and it's like, well, the immediate, it's gray-eyed Uncle Mel. And I might have some family back in Italy that are still around. I had an aunt that stayed there. So they reach out, mainly to Ray. They find out she's still there. They send a letter and see if she's going to reach out. When she doesn't initially, it looks like they're going to have to go with Great Uncle Mel, and so we get another Uncle Mel cameo. It's always good, and he's going on and on again about his life and his sexuality, as he puts it. Just because I would never marry doesn't mean I'm gay, and he's saying that literally into a tape recorder. That's a gag I don't remember. I remember he did that, but I didn't remember it was into a tape recorder. So that got me chuckling a little bit. It's always good. Sad to say we only have one more Great Uncle Mel appearance, and that's at the end of this season because he would pass away before the next season, so we lose a great minor character. But for the time he was with the show, Uncle Mel, always great to see. Well, luck is with Allie and Ray because not only did Frank's aunt get the letter, but she's surprising them by coming to visit them in America. This is, of course, based on something that they put in the letter. That is, if you're ever in America, come and visit us. So instead of sending a return letter saying, I'm going to come visit you guys at this time, she just decides to hop on a plane and go and visit her. Which is a nice little thing. Of course, kind of puts everyone off at first, just more from surprise, especially Deborah when she's the one who answers the door and the cab driver says, is this the Barone residence? Then once he's told yeah, puts his things down and then asks for the fare, which, watching that, I'm like, alright, buddy, you obviously don't know how to cab if you're not going to tell the person who's answering the door, your family's out here, you're paying for the tab, or respectfully. He's not very personable. It's the type of thing, if this was a different part of New York, I can imagine him getting punched right in the face. Like if he did this in Brooklyn, just from what I've heard about Brooklyn, I can imagine Brooklyn rage right in the cabbie's face. But nope, that doesn't happen. Well, Zia Serena, I had to look at her name real quick, comes in, and she's a big hit with the family. She's loving everybody. It's a big old Italian family reunion, and we actually get to see the Barones speak in Italian, which there's a little quick gag about that, about how much Italian do Ray and Robert know. And then Marie tries to play it off like, oh, we only spoke in Italian when we fought, so the kids wouldn't understand what they're saying. We're almost fluent. And it seems, just based on what I see, that Robert kept up with it a little bit more, which makes sense since he is a police officer in New York City. There have probably been instances where he's had to speak Italian, or it would come in handy. I can tell you from working security, there have been a lot of instances where me knowing fluent Spanish would have come in handy. But even just a little bit of Spanish, I remember there's been instances where it come in handy where I've just been able to BS my way through it just by listening to him like, oh, that's what you mean. Oh, okay, I can help you. So I can imagine Robert keeping up with it. Ray, he seems to still know it, but the knowledge is here. He just has to practice it. And we do get a scene between him and Serena where he's slowly starting to remember how to speak Italian. Nice little heartwarming scene. And it's a scene where he finally comes around to her visiting. because he's the one that's really put off by everything, from not only her coming there, but where's she going to stay? She's going to stay here. You put her up in my office, which is an attitude that we'll see revisited in season 5 when the group go to Italy. But of course, that one has a little bit more of a justification, considering that he's sick and not enjoying himself. Although some will say this is a bit more justified because it's a relative that just popped in randomly. Even though you could kind of say they kind of halfway invited her. It was an indirect invitation, but it is implied through the letter. And considering how old the character is, you can say, no, she decided, hey, I'm not going to be here forever. Might as well go. And after that, everybody loves her, although Deborah's the one who seems a little bit out because she can't speak Italian. And there's a scene where they're really talking all around or about her. And it's a scene you can really tell that she's uncomfortable, and Patricia Heaton plays it beautifully. And I'm actually a little bit on Patricia's side here, especially when you're reading the subtitles. Like, really? Just because she already ate 4, you're going to make fun of her eating habits? Oh, we call her sick in the old country. Like, this isn't the old country. She already ate 4. Don't make fun of someone just because they're not eating as much as you think they should. And all that. She's a healthy weight. Of course, it's tying in a little bit to something that Marie seems to have a problem with her. That is Deborah cooks a little bit more for health, whereas Marie cooks more for enjoyment. I mean, as she said in that episode in season 1, what could be more healthier for you than the food you love? Well, depending on your activity, that might not be the healthiest point of view, but I digress. I'm getting a little bit off track. Now, with Serena being there, all seems well, but this is the Barone family. It is a sitcom, and it's a comedy. There has to be some big drama or surprise or reveal that unravels everything. It can't be this too pitch perfect unless something happens and it's like a family argument. Well, the thing it turns out is that Serena is not actually Frank's aunt. Ray found the wrong Barone family. And the way this is revealed, just beautiful. It's through family photos. First, Frank is told, you never told us there were twins in the family. There aren't. Blah, 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 blah. That's not it. And he shows them the family, shows it to Serena, and she's like, who is this? And it's like, but that's my family. But it's not her family. And I just love that her reaction in English shows she's been around the Barones for a little bit, and she's adapting to their lexicons. Because she says in a slightly accented voice, holy crap. Which just, that got a good chuckle out of me. Because I actually forgot she said that. I remember the twist, I just forgot that was her reaction. Despite this initial mix-up, Serena holds no ill will towards the Barones, as we see when she's saying goodbye to all of them when she leaves. It seems like she's either showing that she has bonded with them despite this mix-up and sees them as adopted family members, or it's just traditional where she's from to say goodbye to people who have been with you in an intimate situation like this, or a little bit of both. I'd say it's a bit of both. And she's reunited with her actual family member, Anna. And we learn from Anna a secret about the Barone family. And that is, they're not actually Barones, at least connected to this line in this way. Because it seems that Frank's father, Albert, or as his actual name was, Alberto, when he immigrated, he didn't anglicize his name from Alberto to Albert. He changed his last name entirely. As Anna puts it, that he stole their last name. I could kind of see why you might be a little resentful for that, but it's like, you're going to have to change the name anyway, why not go with a different one? Maybe their original last name had some bad connotations back there. But the way she talks about it, it sounds more like he was trying to steal some rep from over there. I mean, we find out something about the Barone family with a count involved with the mafia, so probably trying to get some rep. They never really elaborated on it past the stealing the last name part. And due to the nature of sitcom writing, it's never mentioned again. Although we do get one little gag after Anna leaves, and that is, then who are we? Would have been nice for them to delve into it a bit more in another episode, like maybe briefly in the Italy episode. Although with everything going on in that two-parter, you can kind of understand why they don't delve into it. But it would have been nice in one episode that maybe Ray, at Frank's pleading, actually looks into the records and he finds their actual family members. Because one thing, mainly due to the fact that the episode's almost over, that is never addressed is Frank's aunt who stayed behind actually still alive? Which, of course, that got me thinking after the episode was over, like, did Alberto actually have a sister that stayed behind in the old country? Was it something that Alberto told Frank, that he had a sister who was still alive in the old country? This was her name? Never actually thinking that they would contact her? Just to build up a little bit more connection to the island? Maybe she'd already passed. Maybe she never existed. It's one of those things. Argentina Brunetti guest starred as Serena, and she does a pretty good job. A majority of her dialogue is in Italian, and she does a pretty good job. You do buy her as an older Italian woman that is the first time visiting America. All the traditional Italian norms from the old country are there. And there's a charm about her. I think that's part of the reason that I was a little bit nostalgic when I was watching this. Just the charm that's built throughout every scene she's in. And Argentina is no longer with us. She passed away in '05. And she had a long career. Just looking briefly at her credits on IMDb, the biggest film she was in was It's a Wonderful Life, which I have not seen yet. So I have no connection based on the film other than the film title. So looking at the character name, I'm like, I have no idea who this is. And looking at the writing credits, this is another episode written by Ellen Sandler and Cindy Chupak, who wrote Working Late Again, The Gift, and The Garage Sale. So based on the fact that those are 3 episodes I really do enjoy, I'm actually kind of surprised I used to always skip this one. That just makes me wonder that there was probably something with those ones as a whole that I connected with more. Or maybe it was, this is an episode, like I mentioned before, that at that time when I was first getting into the show, I thought it was funny, just didn't connect with me as much. But now as an older adult, it connects with me more. The charm, the nostalgia, it just draws me in more. So I'd like to say that this episode, with my enjoyment level rising, I'd say this is a hidden gem. And there's probably going to be a few more as I go through this series. Although I know that later on there is going to be that one rant. But there probably will be some more hidden gems. Whether they are episodes that I always will skip, like that babysitting episode in Season 3, has yet to be seen. We're just going to have to wait and see as we go through the series more. Only other bit of trivia to mention is the name of the song that they sing in Italian at the dinner table. Part of the awkwardness involving Deborah. The title translates to Moon Amid the Sea. I think a lot of you probably know the melody. Like, it's a Neapolitan song, and just hearing all the characters sing it in Italian, it's so charming. Like I said, this is a charming episode. And like some other things, it does make a reappearance in Italy. They're used as an end-episode gag, where Ray, I guess, has been singing that song for a while on the plane, and they tell him to stop. Which I'll get more into that when I actually get to that episode. There's not really much else to mention other than who played Anna, and that was Stella. I'm probably going to butcher this last name, so forgive me. Ferrantino, which this is one of her few acting credits. Everything else is other minor stuff on TV, although I will say this is her first acting credit. She doesn't do too bad, though. I question why she has the thick Italian accent. I know the reason why the actress does, but for the character, it's like, she was raised in America. She should have a more regional American accent, even if her parents were speaking in Italian. Unless Italian was her first language. Because even my grandmother still had a slight Spanish accent, but it was slight Spanish. It was there, but it wasn't like this noticeable. At least from what I remember. But it could be one of those things, hey, maybe she mainly spoke Italian and only spoke English when she had to. It could be a character reason, they just never elaborate on it, so it's left for pondering like this, like, why does she have it like that? There's not really much else to say about this episode. It's a nice episode. Nice little joke revelation at the end about our family, even though, like I said, it's never brought up again after this. The episode is charming. The character interactions are nice. Speaking of which, it's nice to see the Barones actually act lovey-dovey and like a family unit that is not always at each other's throats for once. But of course, if that went away forever, to paraphrase / quote Phil Rosenthal, there'd be no show. The show would have ended in Season 2. It would have been a bore. But for the small amount of time it lasts, it is nice. And unlike episode 2 of season 1, it doesn't feel forced and unnatural to the point where you're like, oh God, push these people away. Here, it feels natural. So, good on you for Serena that she was able to bring that out, even if it only lasted a little bit. Which, of course, to segue those feelings, the next episode, we're really going to get some feeling out. They're going to be bad feelings. And it's another episode that I would say is one of the first episodes in the series that would be classic. All I Want for Christmas is one that the writers consider that, and I do agree with. The next episode, definitely a classic, and definitely shows why Marie is a just no mother-in-law.